Have you ever thought about where the most isolated place in the world is located? Away from the noise and people? There is an island situated between Antarctica and South Africa that is considered to be the most isolated place on Earth, and it's called Bouvet Island. Why is this island unoccupied? And what is the mystery that surrounds it? Learn more about the compelling true tale of Bouvet Island in this episode of the Faith and Mystery Files. On January 1st, 1739, a French navigator, Jean-Beptiste Charles Bouvet, discovered an island around 1,000 miles away from Queen Maud Land in Antarctica. Bouvet and his crew had been sailing for days to explore the southern seas. However, around December 10th, 1738, they realized they were immensely off course. There had been a great density of fog around them. Yet the men continued in hopes of finding an island to recuperate from the journey thus far. They were able to catch glimpses of icebergs and native wildlife. But the further they journeyed, the further they found themselves off course. So much so that they were estimated to be about 1,600 miles from any land at all. That is when Bouvet and the crew decided to start heading back. As the men were continuing to grow weary, they soon spotted something that lifted their spirits. On January 1st, 1739, the crew saw land. Bouvet stated that a very high land, covered with snow, which appeared through the midst, was spotted by his men, and they were making plans to try to access the land. He thought this island was part of Antarctica, and promptly named it Cape of Circumcision, or Cap de la Circoncision. For 12 days, the crew made attempts to dock and explore the land. However, they found it difficult to safely make it closer to the island. The men began to contract scurvy and ultimately decided to leave to head back to the nearest port in hopes of gathering new supplies and medical assistance. Yet the trip was not completely lost. Bouvet documented various new animals that they saw, including penguins, and described them as the following: amphibious creatures that look like large ducks, but have fins instead of wings. When the news of Bouvet's discovery was published, several were determined to look for the island as well. They even began referring to it as Bouvet Island. Captain James Cook and James Clark Ross were among those who searched for the area, yet no one could locate it. Some say that this was because the island had not been correctly charted on maps available at the time. Was Bouvet Island ever reached again? There were numerous attempts made throughout the late 1700s to get to Bouvet Island, but none were successful in finding the area. It wasn't until 1808 that Captain James Lindsay and his crew, the Samuel Enderley and Sons Company, with the shipping vessel Snow Swan, located the island. They were able to properly identify and correct its coordinates. However, they were unable to land on the island due to the weather conditions and icebergs surrounding it. But Captain Lindsay did try to rename the area Lindsay Island. However, the name did not stick. Others also tried to claim the land, yet no one could safely get to it. One of the most notable accounts was Lars Christensen's 1927 expedition with the shipping vessel Norvegia. The expedition was to research krill and conduct oceanographic studies. When the crew spotted the island, they were able to dock and walk on the icy and rocky terrain. Christensen had it claimed for Norway and set up the Norwegian flag in December 1927. Yet there was a dispute between Britain and Norway as to who had the rights to the land. After about 3 years, Bouvet Island was awarded to Norway and officially became a part of the Norwegian territory. What is the mystery behind this island? There are quite a few unusual things about Bouvet Island. First, we should look at the terrain. The island completely consists of ice and rocky ground. It is approximately 19 square miles in total. The weather tends to be extremely cold, with the warmest temperature being in February at around 2 degrees Celsius, or 35.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Bouvet Island is also home to around 50,000 penguins, which include various breeds, such as the macaroni penguin, the chinstrap penguin, and the Adelie penguin. Birds, such as the albatross and the southern fulmar, as well as the Antarctica fur seals and southern elephant seals, all dwell there peacefully. Another unique fact of the island is that it has an active volcano. In the 1950s, scientists determined that the island grew due to lava that erupted from the volcano Mount Olav. It even has a summit elevation of 1,950 meters. But one of the most surprising aspects or incidents that occurred on the island is the discovery made in 1964. On April 2nd, 1964, the HMS Protector was sent to Bouvet Island to locate a new area that had been formed by lava. The island was well known by many to be difficult to get to, which was one of the main reasons it was considered uninhabited by humans. Yet the crew soon came to a peculiar sight. In the lagoon area, near a part of the island that was easier to access, they found an abandoned rowboat. To get a better view of the island, Lieutenant Commander Alan Crawford and several of the crew took a helicopter to scout out the land. However, a few minutes into the search, they found an abandoned boat. It had no markings or etchings to show where it had come from. Many thought it looked to be that of a lifeboat. Strangely, they found the oars on the shore near a copper tank that had been flattened and a barrel. Due to the intense weather conditions, the commander wasn't able to do a complete search. Yet he noted that no remains of any human living on the island had been found. Bouvet Island wasn't visited again until 2 years later. However, the boat was nowhere to be seen. What happened to the boat? Why were no survivors ever found? There are a few theories as to the mystery of the rowboat. Some think that the boat sank in the lagoon due to rough weather conditions. Others say it could have gone back out to sea. Those are probable outcomes, but how did the boat make it to the island in the first place? There is an incident said to have happened in 1958 that could explain why a boat was in the lagoon. However, it still leaves a few questions unanswered. On October 22, 1958, a crew from Slavia, a Russian naval ship, is said to have been sailing near Bouvet Island. A few of the men decided to row to the island from one of the lifeboats and explore the area. However, once they were finished and ready to return to the ship, they soon realized they couldn't. The fog and the surrounding icebergs made it impossible to leave. They ended up staying there for 3 days until a helicopter picked them up. It is possible that this was the case of how the boat ended up in the lagoon. However, why would the boat remain intact for 7 years, but be missing only 2 years after it was spotted? And if the men stayed there for 3 days, why was no evidence found of anyone being there? Also, if the warmest temperature on the island is about 2 degrees Celsius, why wouldn't the boat be used to construct a shelter as they waited to be rescued? Does this account explain why the rowboat was there, or could there be something more to the story? What do you think? Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Faith and Mystery Files. Let us know your thoughts about the rowboat and Bouvet Island in the comments below. If you want to hear more true, intriguing mysteries, check out our previous episodes. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing, and commenting on our videos. It makes a big difference. Thank you again, until next time, and may God bless you.